Okay, I'm gonna make this video while I remember. And I'm getting kind of sleepy, so I better do it now. Plus, I've been drilling stuff. Anyway, so I posted my DNA results. A lot of people have asked me about my adoption story. Those close to me know it, but may not know all of it. I don't know, but I just wanted to answer the most frequently asked questions about my being an adoptee. So, I have a list. My adoption, to tell you a little bit about it, I was born in Shreveport at Shumpert Medical Center, before it was Christus Shumpert, Shumpert Hospital, I think it was called, or something like that. And my adoption, and I misspoke in a previous video, it wasn't the Y. My adoption was through the VOA. And back then, the VOA had like a pregnancy center of some sort. It had like a housing for the girls who were placing their children for adoption. I guess so they would make sure that they had proper prenatal care, and everything. So, and I guess probably the support, of other birth moms who were going through the same thing. So they had this center, and I think it serviced like East Texas and all of Louisiana, something like that. But so she was in that center and gave birth to me, and then 3 weeks later, the adoption was final. It was a closed adoption, though, which means that I can't have any identifying information to find her. So, in essence, whether she chose to or not, whatever the case was at that time, it was she wanted to give up her parental rights and did not want to be contacted in the future. So, as far as I know, she was like 17 or 18 at the time. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what I found out later, but she was 17 or 18 at the time, young, so she'd be in her like 50s now, mid to late 50s. And so she placed me for adoption, and that was that. I think I was like 10 or 11 years old. You have to have your paperwork, your immunization paperwork when you transfer schools, and birth certificate and stuff like that. I was transferring from private school to the public school, something like that. I was going into middle school at Cattle Middle Magnet, and I had to have a copy of my birth certificate. So my mom had this like box full of papers. I think everybody's mom had like that drawer, box full of papers, and I looked in there, but I couldn't find a birth certificate. I found everybody's birth certificate, my brother's birth certificate, my sister's birth certificate, even my parents' birth certificates I think I found, but couldn't find mine. So I come across this manila like envelope. It was like one of those smaller ones. And it was the court records, the adoption records. And so when I was a latchkey child at that time. So when my mom got home, my parents got home, I asked them about the papers. So then they told me, my mom said she always told me when I was little that I was her chosen child and stuff. Like she always wanted to adopt. She was raised by the woman I know as my grandmother on my mom's side is actually her aunt. So she was in essence adopted as well. She was raised by her aunt and everything. So she was like, she knew she wanted to adopt. And then when both of my brothers ended up with sickle cell anemia, I guess it was even more of an incentive to adopt, because if they had a third child, it would have sickle cell anemia as well. So anyway, so it's around like 11, and I had some questions, but it wasn't really like some people say, they get angry and things like that. And since people in my family have found out, there have been like snide comments and rude stuff or whatever, but or even friends, same thing. But some family members have used it in a real hurtful way. But as far as me, it was just like, nah, like, oh, well, I get it now. But it was no different. They're still my parents, still my family. The end. So at 18, if you're an adoptee whose adoption was closed, they give you what they call a non-identifying report. And in the report, it gives you some basic information that they collected from your birth mother. As much information as they can. Some have stuff from their birth father because maybe they both decided it was, the best thing to do. But I think this was her decision, from what I feel. So I get this non-identifying report, and it tells me basically, around, that she was um, in high school, I think, or high school age, and wanted to go to school for, like, how back in the day where you went to school for stenography or to be a secretary, something like that. That's what she wanted to pursue. So, and that both my parents were African American, and that my maternal grandfather, I think it was, may have had cancer or passed from cancer or something like that. It was, I had to thing it back in Shreveport to make sure that it didn't get lost in transition and stuff like that. So I don't really remember exactly that part of the information. But so it gave me that report at 18, and I was told to register for some national registry, which you put your information in there. There's like a nationwide database, and then there's one for specifically for your state. So Louisiana registry, I put my name in there too, and I think it costs like $25 or something like that. So I did that, but the thing with the registry is you will only be contacted with their information if they are okay with you contacting them, and they have to be in the registry too. So they have to be in the registry and are okay with you contacting them. So still, it's sort of like being in the closed adoption. You can only contact them if she's looking for me. So since 18, this is now 20 years later, nothing. And it made me believe that she may not even be alive, but never know. I think it was like age 22 or 23, I tried again, and gave me a little bit more information that I did not know before. So the information was that my birth mother actually had a son before me who was 1 or 2 years old. He was like a toddler, and that may be another reason why she didn't want to deal with 2 small children, being a teenager. So I have a half brother, and older half brother, and his father died in a car accident. And then I guess she met my dad, but I don't think he wanted to be a father, so she placed me for adoption. So that's like the backstory as far as I know. But they don't tell you any of her education. Definitely won't tell you her name, and even where she was from. Nothing to where I could track her down. Basically, I tried contacting a PI, I think at the time, and there was just not enough information to go on because I didn't even know she was from Shreveport. I hadn't know anything, nothing, not a last name, not a nothing. So trying to find a black girl who had a child in 1978 was just so. Anyway, and then I told in the previous video why I decided to do this was because a lot of adoptees online groups that I've joined have had success in finding not only birth family but birth parents. So I wanted to figure it out. If some even say, yeah, they found them on Facebook, like randomly, as they got tidbits of information and ended up meeting their birth parents on Facebook. So, I mean, I figured why not try? And so now I'm deciding to document as much of it as I possibly can to encourage other adoptees, because number one, it's like not all of us are wanting this information so we can interfere in our birth parents' lives. A lot of us are wanting this information just so we can know our heritage, our lineage, and be able to pass that on to our children. Because I know I'm considering being a mother, being a planned co-parent or single mother in the next couple of years since I'm single. And I need to know my medical history. Going to a doctor and not being able to answer questions about what they should be looking for is just like crazy, And so it would really be great for me to be able to know my history so I can pass it on to my children and know what to look for when I decide to procreate. So because there's genetic things I need to be looking for, and whoever is the father, they have genetic things, but if we only know half of it, that's just messed up going into it. So that's what I really wanted, because one of the people I contacted said, like, don't be disappointed if they're not who you think they are. And I'm like, I've never had this like fantasy version of who my parents are. You know, for a split second, you're like, oh, my mom may be famous and my dad may be famous, but you know, my parents, John and Dolores, were amazing, so I have no complaints. Maybe if you know I was raised in a messed up situation and um I may have had that fantasy and that longing for you know, this palace where my parents are and I can find them and be a princess, but no, it's like I just really want to be able to trace my roots. And, you know, if I connect with them, great. If I could just see a picture of them, would be great. We don't even have to have a relationship or connect. But I'm not expecting anything major. So just to have an inkling of being close to that discovery is amazing right now. So you know, like my backstory, how I found out, my searches, and my current search. And I'll just keep you guys posted. If you have any other questions you want me to answer, you know, I'll do another Q&A. Drop them in the comments, and I will continue to let you know about my journey. So stay tuned.